Your question is, did the church parking lot mean anything to you? It meant it was a place for me to park. What are these questions? What are these questions? Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
It was a spot that I could park my vehicle.
Okay, and when you got there, did you meet with anybody from the defense?
I can't recall if they were standing out there and we walked in together. I don't recall.
I'm asking if you've met them, not whether you walked in together. I'll ask it again. When you arrived after these plans were made, did you meet with the defense before you came into court?
On the voir dire day, I don't believe, I can't recall if the defense was out there. I think on the day of trial, I think I met Mr. Jackson and maybe a couple of other members of the defense team.
Well, when you say you think, this was a pretty remarkable event coming to this trial, wasn't it?
Is it remarkable? Is it pretty remarkable?
It's a pretty remarkable event, this trial.
Is it remarkable?
It's unique, yes.
Yeah, it's unique. And so when you came here, having had all these conversations with Attorney Jackson, you don't remember if you met him before you came in for voir dire or came in for trial? You don't remember if you met him?
Well, like I said, I think for the voir dire, I think he was already, I believe, in the courthouse. So I think the first time I actually shook his hand and met him was the day of the trial, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. And tell me, is that near the church parking lot that you met with them?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Was it near the church parking
Who
lot where you met with
cares?
them?
Yes.
Who
He
cares?
shook his hand. This is meeting face to face,
Yes.
right? Yes?
Yes.
Did you have a conversation about the case?
I don't believe so, no.
When you say you don't believe so,
You know, it has been a very long time since I've drank hard liquor on stream. It's been even a longer time since I've drank it straight out of the bottle.
do you think you had a conversation about the case?
At that point in time, no. I was getting ready to take the stand, so I don't think we had a conversation about it.
You were speaking to the defense or Attorney Jackson on June 10th, 2024. That was before your voir dire testimony, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And do you remember what those conversations were about?
I presume it was about the logistics of when we were needed. And then I know that ultimately I served as kind of the primary point of contact where I think Alan would reach out to me. He would give me some information about the scheduling and kind of when we would need it. Then I would check in with Dr. Rentschler, and then I would get back to Mr. Jackson. So there was kind of that channel of communication to try to figure out when we were to arrive and where we were supposed to go.
You're not saying that all your conversations with Alan were just logistics, were you?
I believe for the most part, yes.
So it took hundreds of texts, 100 texts for logistics?
Absolutely. I can certainly go into the day before my trial testimony, which was a very extensive travel day where I don't even think I left the Philadelphia airport.
We're going to get there. We're going to get there, but there's a lot more.
I bet we are going to get there.
Before we get even close to that. Okay. Do you remember on June 10th having conversations with Attorney Jackson?
I do remember that there was conversations,
Okay.
yes.
Now, June 10th is 8 days before your testimony. Did you ever talk about an outline of your testimony or what your testimony would be?
No, sir.
Okay. You ultimately have more conversations on June 16th. Remember those conversations on June 16th?
Not specifically, no.
You don't remember them specifically? Do you remember whether or not you talked about the case with Attorney Jackson on June 16th?
We did not talk about the case, no.
Did you ever email with Attorney Jackson around that time?
In June 10th?
Before your voir dire?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. So everything from your mind was just logistics at that point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you came in for June 17th?
I believe the voir dire was the 18th.
Okay. Do you remember having phone calls on the 18th with Attorney Jackson?
The day of the voir dire?
Yes.
I could have to let him know that I arrived.
So you check in with the client, tell them you're on their way, even though you're not going to meet them?
To let them know that I'm coming to court?
Okay. And so when you testified in the voir dire, then did you have further conversations with Attorney Jackson?
After the voir dire?
Yeah.
Yes.
And did you talk about the case?
No, sir.
You had to testify, or you came and you testified on the 24th?
That sounds right.
You had a number of phone calls before the 24th. You had a series of phone calls on the 17th, 2 on the 18th, 2 on the 19th. Do you know what any of those were about?
I think it was about the logistics of arriving here, because I know that I was going to, as opposed
Well, as I recall, our discussion was about the bug up your ass. Did you ever get that address, the bug up your ass?
to driving, I know I was going to fly in this time.
Okay, how about the 21st and 23rd? There's a call on the 21st and 2 on the 23rd. Did you talk about the case?
No.
And so when you came into trial to testify, you were just relying on the opinions you had already provided in the past?
That were written in the February 12th report, 2024?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you had not talked about the case with Attorney Jackson or any member of this team?
No, it was all in the report, and that's ultimately what I testified exactly to at the time of trial in the voir dire, sir.
And you did not talk to Attorney Jackson or anybody else about the case?
No, sir.
May I approach?
Yes.
Oh my God. Help. Help. Help.
Showing you an email, do you recognize that?
Yes.
From you to who?
To Mr. Jackson.
Okay. And what's it labeled as?
Wolf Direct.
And that's before you testified on trials, 24.
It said 6 p.m. the night before I testified, yes.
So it's before you testified.
Yes.
Okay. Let me show you this document. Do you recognize that one?
Yes.
What's that?
That is the attachment to the email.
Do you recognize reading that?
Yes.
Do you recognize discussing the case before you testified on June 24, 2024?
I never discussed this with him. This is something that I sent to him, that I did on my own, and that I sent to him. But he never asked this of me, and we never discussed it.
So you sent him what you thought would be the best questions and answers for him to ask you when you testified?
So this is something I routinely do when I work with attorneys, okay? I prepare this on my own to prep myself and prepare for trial.
There's an email with a document that like the attaches to the exhibit.
Okay. Exhibit 1.
Melanie Little's losing her mind. Yep. I'm losing my mind too. I'm pretty sure Melanie Little's also losing her mind. Is Melanie Little using the cursey words yet? Has she devolved into cursey words? That doesn't really seem like Melanie Little's MO, but yeah, this is some bullshit, man. This is pretty heavy bullshit. Yeah.